if you do end up needing to cut them, one of the first things I'll do, if you can access the sides of it, if you're going to be cutting it, you don't really have to worry about keeping the panels intact. That's one thing. If you are going to try and roll it, make sure you try and keep these as intact as possible, because when you start rolling, it's just going to go everywhere on you. But if you do have to cut it and you can access at least a couple sides, I'll pop these panels off first, so when you start to cut, you'll be able to come from the underside and see where you're cutting and follow that cut also. If you're able to, obviously the more efficient you can be, as far as if you can just cut it in half and then you're able to carry 2 halves, obviously it saves time, effort, all that. But if you have to, some of the bigger ones you'll end up having to cut it in 4s. But also, when you're cutting them, because probably 90% of them, even when you flip the top off, there's still some standing water in here. Before you get in here with the Sawzall, take one of your demo bars or something like that. You can pop holes throughout the whole thing so it'll drain, so you're not staying in the water with the corded Sawzall. Electrocute yourself. When you're making your first few cuts, so that way you can actually get your Sawzall blade back down in there, or if one of them snaps, something like that, you can make your first cut and then follow another one down by it to have that little wedge there, a little gap. That way you can get your blade back in it. So you run your cut down that way, all the way across, and then, like I said, if you can at this point, whether it's down on a deck or something like that, you may not be able to, but if you can access it enough to, once you make that cut all the way across, you can flip the hot tub, stand it up. I like doing this, if you're able to, if you're sitting on concrete or something like that, if you're trying to cut from the top down the bottom, it's like a hard thing against the concrete. So if you're able to flip it up like this, follow that same cut down the bottom. Across the bottom here, so you just run your other cut to meet up with that one. Come to the other side, do the same thing. At that point, if you're able to flip it up again, try, it may come apart. Yeah, it should just be a couple more cuts. But another thing about taking the panels off is you can access all the pumps and all the hoses and all that stuff running through there, just to make it a little bit easier. I mean, this is a pretty simple one. But some of those bigger ones, even in half, it's still a beast. So if you can get these off and access those just to shed a few more pounds, it'll help. But it's in half, and then you can kind of do the same thing as if you were just loading the whole thing. Take it out and carry it. You can set it on its back edge, push it and slide it up into the truck. If they're still too heavy, you can do the exact same thing that you did, cut it in half. Follow it right there, follow it right in the middle, and then you have four pieces.
If you need to, if it's a really heavy hot tub and you can't quite get it onto the truck, you can lift and dump that up so it's at a nice 45-degree angle. So this, when you flip it, sits flush with it, it makes it a lot easier than you can raise the bed and hot tub with it. Keep that in mind.
And with that also, just a thing to keep in your mind, these newer ones, the ones with the taller lips on the front of the dump bed, you can fit a 6 to 8 person hot tub in as it sits like this. So if you're able to get the lip up on there enough to where you can get both get on one side and lift it to where it's resting right there, then you can just push the hot tub in and you're good to go.